Listen up, Cougar fans, wherever you are. Birch Screen Printing in the heart of La Follette next to Big Creek is the place to go for all things Cougar. T-shirts, caps, jackets, and much more. If it's Cougars, it's at Birch Screen Printing. 423-562-3044. Need T-shirts or caps or polos for your business, special event, or church function? Birch is the business to call. Lettering, screen printing, and especially for all things Cougar. Birch Screen Printing in the heart of La Follette.
Just look for the parking lot full of cars. Yep, that's Charlie's Pizza.
Hey, this is Joe Horton at the world's famous Charlie's Pizza. Come down and see us.
First dates, fun with friends, celebrations, a break from work, whatever your excuse for stopping by Charlie's Pizza, everyone understands. Because we all love Charlie's for pizza, pasta, sandwiches, salads, and lots more. What's your favorite Charlie's Pizza specialty? What's your favorite Charlie's Pizza memory? It's the worst kept secret around. It's Charlie's Pizza in Jacksboro. See you there.
This morning, as you can tell, I have an in-studio guest, Mr. Robbie O'Daniel. He is the sports editor of La Follette Press. Very good friend of mine, or I consider him a friend. He may not consider me a friend.
I consider you a friend too, Larry.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome.
How you doing?
Good, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
We're going to talk a little bit of football, Campbell County and Fulton. Also, Carnes and Campbell County and how they finished up last Friday. We've got some other things. Campbell County Middle School fishing team has done extremely well. They finished the top three. It was a top three in the Next Gen Outdoors Junior Division. That was pretty impressive. I do not have their names. I wished I did. I can tell you what team it is. I think one of them's Team Baird. The other one, as I'm looking, and here we go.
I know that with Gabe St. John was one of those.
Yeah, it says Walden, Team Baird and Walden. There we go. Team Baird and Walden finished first place. Goins and Post in third place.
And Dopel and St. John.
Dopel and St. John first place, yes. And Baird and Walden second place. I got that backwards. So that's pretty impressive for these young men, especially moving up to Campbell County pretty soon. Campbell County's also got a pretty strong fishing team as well.
Yeah, so the fishing program is like, in terms of just pure success over the rest of the field, the fishing team is bar none. Because, I mean, you look at Campbell County's got so many kids fishing, and then you look at some of these other schools, even schools that you would think should be fishing because they're close to lakes and everything and rivers, and they don't, like, there's a lot of schools that don't hardly have anybody, but then Campbell County's got a ton of kids, and you know, and I mean, it's not like they're not beating anybody though either. Like, they're finishing like top 10% of, you know, of these huge tournaments with a lot of boats. And obviously Norris Lake hosts, Lonis Young's hosting tournaments and everything. So
I know that for the fishing team, Campbell County fishing team, when you say they finish in the top 10%, I know that they have been pretty strong in just about every tournament they fish. But they also fish in a last season tournament as well, and I don't know the name of that tournament. I think it's the Bass Pro Shop something. And they also finish well in that one also. And we have a lot of fishermen, if I'm not mistaken, if my memory serves me correct, that are fishing for Bryan College.
Yeah, not only that, honestly, the most successful guy out of Campbell County right now has been Seth Roberts at Bethel University. As a freshman, he fished with a senior, and he did really well. I think he fished in like 2 different national championships last year. He's been doing great over there in West Tennessee.
Wow.
He's loving it. So
I would say so. Norris Lake's probably a hard lake to fish, and these boys grew up on Norris Lake, so they can fish it pretty well. So I think they've got the advantage, but when they go to Chickamauga or things like that, you know, they work extremely hard to finish in the top 10% down at that lake as well. I hear the further south you go and the further west you go, it's easier to catch fish, and I don't know how true that is. I'm not a fisherman.
The main thing is just we live in a part of the country that people from all over, like, there's been people from California and Michigan come down to blast off from Lonis Young Park, and that's just wild to see. But I don't know, to me there's been a lot of like national, I don't know if you saw this, it's kind of non-sports related, but there was a New York Times article about celebrate recovery in Mexborough.
Really?
That it's on the New York Times website that they had a writer and a photographer come down here and do a story and take photos of the Celebrate Recovery in Jacksboro, and profiling some of those people that are working to help working to help some of those less fortunate and to help battle the overarching opioid epidemic and everything. So
Right.
there's been a lot of kind of attention on this place here lately.
Oh yeah, that's always good, because I know when they come in and, let's see, it's the Morristown
Marine, yeah.
Morristown Marine Tournament comes in down here as well. They have a lot of boats that come in from all over, like you were talking about. So fishing in this part of the area is good, and these kids is really taken to it and has really done a very good job.
Yeah.
So, also, the Lady Cougars got eliminated, you said last Monday. I mean, it was kind of a weird scenario. You was trying to explain that to me right before we went on the air. But
with the soccer team.
With the soccer
Because it's kind of confusing because Hall's eliminated both the soccer team and the volleyball team this year.
Really?
So, yeah, the volleyball team came in. It was kind of it was a rough one. The volleyball team had such a good year this year, and honestly, it might have been kind of they struggled the most in the district tournament match that they lost to Halls last Wednesday and over at West High School, and so they were eliminated in the first round. But the thing that was confusing was the way the soccer was laid out was they had some trouble with rescheduling. The weather's been so rough with the rain and everything that they've had a hard time rescheduling. And so they decided, they were in a place where they had 3 regular season games left, and then they had to start the district tournament. And, one of those regular season games they had left was with Halls, who they were also going to play in the district tournament. So the Halls coach just talked with Brian Horton, and he's like, you know what, Wolford just made this essentially like double or nothing. Like, let's just make this count for the regular season and for the district tournament. And so they agreed that they'd do that. But it kind of led to an interesting situation where, Halls beats Campbell County 3-0 in that game. So Campbell County's season is over in a sense that they can't move past, they can't go any further, but they still had 2 regular season games left. So it must have been kind of a tough situation for the girls, though. I know that they drew with Clinton and they beat Cumberland Gap in that last game. So, but I would imagine if I was on the team, it would be hard to kind of get up for those games once you know that, the seasons, you're eliminated, essentially. It's kind of a strange, you really only see that in football where teams have regular season games left and they're already eliminated. Everything else is tournament play, usually.
Well, I guess my question to you is, and I don't know if you know this answer, but I've got a question about why would Brian Horton, Coach Horton, agree to something like that? And I'm not saying he made a bad decision, I'm just saying when you put double or nothing on one game, and essentially it could get you eliminated. I mean, he was aware of that prior to going into this game, I'm sure, wasn't he?
Yeah, and well, it was a home match, so that might have been part of it in the sense that I'm pretty sure if Halls beat Campbell County at home, then the district tournament game would have been at Halls, so they would have had to travel there anyway. But I think it was mostly just 4 soccer matches in 1 week is a lot, especially when it's like full time, like not any sort of, shortened jamboree games or anything like that. And plus they've had such a hard time with the weather that they're probably they've had several delays and several cancellations. They ended up having to have, they moved their senior night to a Wednesday to accommodate the Thursday night football game. But then I think they ended up having to move that a week later to the following Wednesday because of rain again. So they've had such a hard time with getting games in. I think they just wanted to, put it all on the table and risk it, and they just didn't quite work out for them.
That's tough, knowing that you're going to put everything on one game. That's pretty tough to beat. But they're out. The lady volleyball team, you said they're out as well. So. But the good thing I can say about both of those programs is they're headed in the right direction.
Absolutely. The volleyball programs they both have had such a consistency of coaching, which you don't always see in soccer and volleyball. Like, you look at Brian Horton, he's been coaching soccer in Kim County for ages. Renee's just finished up her 4th year as a volleyball coach. There's a lot of, like, when I really dug into the volleyball district like 2 years ago and was talking to different coaches and things like that for a story on the coach pay, I realized quickly that a lot of these coaches were did not have long tenures at all. Like Renee was already like one of the elder stateswomen on the district coaching scene.
Wow.
After a quick time. So there's a lot of turnover, and it helps when you have that consistency. The soccer team is good because they only have 3 seniors that graduated. 3 impactful seniors: Drew Leach, Julie Isber, Sam Lasley. But they only have 3, and so they have a ton of girls on the team. Sure. Big roster. And the volleyball and softball this year are kind of tough because volleyball's got 4 seniors. They're all starters, so they're really going to be a younger or at least less experienced on the varsity level team than last year. And the same goes with softball in the spring. They'll be the same way. So.
As far as was it Anna Kane?
Yes.
That's going to play at the next level.
And she's going to Bryan, just like her all of her siblings before her.
Yeah, and it's. I would figure that she would probably try to go on basketball, but I had her on the show at one time back a few months ago, and she said that volleyball was her first love over basketball.
And that might be maybe the biggest feather in the cap for Renee Wormsley is you must know that you're doing something right when all these girls all of a sudden consider volleyball their favorite sport.
Sure.
There's something about that program that after the game, a lot of teams it's tough. But the team really felt like a family talking to each other in that post-game huddle after the game. They know they struggled and they didn't play their best. But they're such a tight-knit group. I mean, there's not a lot of teams where seniors come back the next year and really help. Like there were several games this year where seniors from last year were helping with the line judging, to giving back to next year's team, still interested. Like kid like Macy Ogden's 2 years removed from being on the volleyball team, and she's still very interested and very involved in being there for the girls and cheering them on and everything. And I heard that from several, at least 2 or 3 of the seniors that are graduating this year are very interested in coaching volleyball.
Wow.
Going forward. So they're very, they love it. They eat, sleep, and breathe it. Anna obviously made it her lone sport, and the past 2 years Anna has been maybe you might call her the best volleyball player in the history of this program. She's just been outstanding out there on the court.
And she's not very tall.
No.
I mean,
but she's got hops.
Yes,
she gets up there and she slams it. So.
And of course she gets to play basketball this year, so that's another. That's something else that we can watch her excel at, because she's a very good basketball player.
So is she going back? I didn't know that.
I think she's going back. According to what she said the night on the show, she will. I'm assuming not unless something has changed.
Well, I mean,
have you got the
I know a lot of people are eyeing, not to put too much pressure on the team, but I know a lot of people are thinking that Murfreesboro is a real possibility this year. I know a lot of people are really excited, and with it being Skylar's senior year, and with it being, Madison Brady has still got 2 years under her belt, which is just amazing when you consider how much Madison's already, done for the team and everything. It's a stacked lineup. This seems to be, the strongest Lady Cougar basketball team in recent memory, and people are, really excited to see how far they go, and especially considering that Oak Ridge lost Makai Dowdell. They still have Jade Gwynn, who's one of, she challenges Skylar for being one of the best players in the district. And then I hear that even though Powell lost Haley Schubert, that a person transferred in there that is very good. So Powell might be better than they were last year, but it'll be interesting because I don't know if Oak Ridge will be as good as they were last year, and last year Lady Cougars beat them once in the regular season. So
exactly.
It'll
Yeah, I think Campbell County beat them at home, and then Oak Ridge come up here and beat them.
Yes, it was two road victories, and then Oak Ridge took the rubber match.
Yes,
District tournament.
and I hated that because I felt like that we were so much much better team than what Oak Ridge was at that particular time.
The one that hurts me when I think back about it is the region second round match with second round game with Bearden, where Campbell County had a 10-point lead in the first half. They were just dominating. They led. I think they still were ahead by like 2 at halftime, and then Bearden was just chipping away. I think that was the game where Schuyler got injured and left the game for a little bit. I'm not sure if it was that game or the Oak Ridge game. Might have been the Oak Ridge game actually, but anyway, like Bearden was chipping away, and then eventually they took a commanding lead late on. But Campbell County had such a strong start in that game that it just hurts to think about how it's kind of like that Oak Ridge football game last year where Campbell County had such a strong start.
Oh yeah, we lost 17-15.
Yeah, and it was 9-0 at the half. Right?
Yes. Oh
man.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it really is. I mean, you see these kids work their tails off and get to that point. I mean, we've only beat Oak Ridge in football one time.
One time.
That was here in the coach Justin Price and Matt Price era. And
they've only scored double digits a few times, I think, Campbell County.
Right.
So it's been extremely lopsided.
Oh yes, and I look for that to change over the next year or so. So that's my opinion. Of course, Oak Ridge always reloads. Mm-hmm. Campbell County's getting better at reloading. It's,
The crazy thing about Oak Ridge is that this year's team, like you look at, they had T. Higgins 2 years ago. And 2 years ago they lost in the first round to Walker Valley, which nobody was expecting.
Right.
And then this year is the year that they seem stronger than ever.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know. It's just, I think there's some people who have been kind of surprised by that. Though they do have some playmakers like Herbert Booker and others, but I just think back about that T. Higgins team, and it's just like, man, I can't believe this guy's playing for college football playoffs right now. And they didn't get past the first round his senior year.
Yeah, that was something. They also had Jordan Graham this year as well.
Oh, yeah.
He's a scat back. I mean, He is extremely fast. And of course, Campbell County, I felt like did a very good job of keeping him in check. Mm-hmm. And talking about keeping him in check, we certainly kept Carnes in check last week.
Oh yes, that was a fun. Okay, so it's just a contrast. Like Powell, it was raining. I was having a hard time with my camera and with taking photos because it was raining the whole first half, and it was dark in the second half. I was kind of frustrated with that. But moreover, the game was frustrating itself. Obviously, the 4th down and goal call that went the wrong way.
Sure.
To be fair, the official was right there, so he should have saw it. But with the naked eye, I don't think you would think that he didn't get in, because you're always just focusing on the body.
Sure.
But you really had to. You just have to focus. If you're in a position, you have to focus on the football and whether it breaks the play, and it didn't. I was shocked when I saw the replay because I was seeing it from the other side of the field.
As I was.
And I just saw his body go in, and I was like, "Well, it didn't look close to me," because I was just kind of judging it by the body. I didn't think that he was almost holding the football out as if he wasn't, but as if he was trying to keep it out. It was amazing. Yeah. But that's just a shame because that would have changed everything.
Oh yeah, it would have been Campbell County's ball. Campbell County's ball going the opposite direction.
Tie games.
Sure, 21-0.
Yeah, and Campbell County was being down by 7 later. They were more gunslinging, and that's what really I think caused the turnover.
Yeah,
but. It's a shame, but Campbell County had to get the win back. Maybe not the way they wanted to get it back, but they got it back.
Well, they're 4-3. Campbell County's 4-3 after the win over Carnes, and they're 2-1 in the district. They're 3rd place right now.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, let's face it. They played Carnes, and they beat the socks off Carnes. Mm-hmm. And you had put something on social media that what was one of the keys to beating Carnes, and you said to minimize the damage that Thomas Harper would do.
I was just looking at the statistics. It was amazing. Carnes is a very one-side, like in terms of offensively, they went more and more toward Harper. Like Harper had the majority of the receiving yards in the year, and they weren't really a big rushing team. So, I mean, they certainly weren't last Friday.
Right.
I think they ran for like -1 yards or something. It was crazy, but they held Harper to like I think 62 yards receiving on the night.
And 1 touchdown.
And the key thing with that is, you know, he only had 1 catch in the first quarter.
Sure.
Cards only had 1 first down in the first quarter. I think they went 3 and out like 3 of their first 4 drives.
They did.
So more than anything, Campbell County shut down Carnes early, enough to take that 15-0 lead and really set the tone. They didn't give up too many big plays. They had a few. I know Tucker had a big catch there, and I think it might have been Tucker that had that 84-yarder, and Hawkins had a good day too. But you know, they limited the big plays, and Carnes was just. I think they had like 10 rushes all night.
10 rushes for 6 yards.
Yeah, it was just like very one-dimensional offensively.
Oh, yeah. And anytime you can stand up and throw the ball all over the field. And let's face it, I remember beginning of the season, and you may remember this as well, our secondary was the biggest question mark on our defense.
Yeah.
And I felt like that our secondary played extremely well. They allowed Jalen Tucker 3 receptions for 136 yards and a touchdown, and the one of them was that big 80-something yarder.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I felt like they played pretty well.
Oh, absolutely. And again, it was so key for, and like Coach Price was talking later about, you know, they were mostly just double teaming him all night, and you know, that's, you know, you got to do that. But the thing with Carnes though was, like, you would think that their other receivers would have a little more yardage than they would with Harper getting the double teams. Either that, or, you know, Harper would just shrug it off and it wouldn't matter. He's having a crazy year this year, but if you look at it game by game, there have been teams that have shut him down. It's more like, you know, 200-yard game, you know, 150-yard game, and 30-yard game.
Right.
You know, it's kind of peppered in. But overall, his stats are phenomenal. He's probably like 1,000 yards receiving this year or something like that.
I'm sure.
But it won't be like that this week, because looking at Fulton, they're like the complete opposite. Fulton's got like 3 different senior rushers who have like 200 yards each. They have like 3 different senior receivers. They have, you know, like I think I saw the split. I think they had like Xavier Malone, their quarterback, had like 1,191 yards passing, and then the team rushes for 1,171 yards rushing this year. So they are very balanced offensively, and there's a lot of senior skill players that Campbell County won't have to worry about.
Oh, yeah. Raquan Thomas, Deshaun Page, Xavier Malone, Jay Sean Fenderson.
Absolutely.
Just to name a few.
Yeah.
And there's probably more than that that you probably don't know of, you know. So we'll break more of that down when Brian Akins calls in from WNML. Of course, you know, tomorrow night there's going to be 4 radio stations in the booth. So WNML will be there, and then you'll have Russell Mays and his crew will be there, which does the game for Fulton all the time. And then, of course, we will be there, and then the other station will be there. Of course, the other station wasn't there last week. Did you take notice of that?
I thought that they might not have been there. I wasn't sure, but
I didn't see them.
Yeah.
Where they normally sit. So I'm not sure what was the situation there, but needless to say, there wasn't there.
I saw Les and Brent there. That's for sure.
Yep, that's what matters. That's what matters. And folks, if you're not going to be able to make it to the game, I know it's going to be cool tomorrow night. It's probably going to be in the 50s, probably the high 50s, I guess. You better take along a jacket or blanket or something like that. Drink plenty of hot chocolate when you're over there. But just in case, if you don't end up going, you can watch it right here on 1450WLAF.com. Also, you can listen to it on 1450 on the AM side of the dial, FM 100.9. Also, you can watch it on Channel 12.
I'm hoping the Cougar faithful will come out too, because it's fall break.
Yeah.
A lot of people on vacation. It's a road game.
Sure. It's not a far road game like it was at Cherokee.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that was a long one.
Yes, it was. Did you go to that game?
Yes, I was there. That was a great game too.
Yes, it
Christian
was.
Schaus.
Oh, yeah.
There's been some amazing, magical single game performances this year.
I would think that he had 14 receptions one game this year, and I think it was at Morristown East, maybe. I'm not sure which game it was, but I seen that he had 14 receptions for 192 yards and, I don't know, 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is how close was he to breaking the most receptions in a game? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And I've got a book.
It has to be Markham with that, you'd think.
I would think so too.
Yeah.
I think Sean Markham did break that record a few years back.
I don't think anybody, Markham ended up with like 94 catches in a season. I don't think anybody will touch that in a while.
No,
That's
amazing.
Yeah, he beat the previous record by like 32 catches.
Yeah.
It wasn't
close.
Yeah.
You're right. You're absolutely right. We're going to talk about Drew Jordan real quick. We got just a couple of minutes, but we can follow that up once we get off the phone with Brian. But Drew Jordan, you got him for 35 carries, 338 yards, a total of 5 touchdowns, and pass for a 2-point conversion.
Amazing. I was talking on Twitter after he scored the 3rd touchdown. I was like, it's going to be hard to take Player of the Game awards from him, Player of the Week awards from him. A little did I know that he was going to double his rushing yardage.
Oh yeah.
I was talking with the Price's dad on the sidelines, and he was just like, I don't think he has enough time. I don't think, and it was like it was kismet because kids hit. It was almost fortunate that kids hit Tucker for that 84-yard touchdown, because if they have a regular drive that takes up time, Jordan probably doesn't get the shot.
Sure.
Yeah. But they went right back out on offense, and they got it. And it's lucky, too, because there was kind of some conflicting numbers on the sidelines. We were hearing that it was 333, and it turned out the record was 336. So it's fortunate that Jordan got that last 5-yard rush, that he got his 338 instead of ending up with a number that was like 335 or something, and we ended up being 1 yard short. So it's lucky that, because it was actually 336 that Chris Johnson ran in 05 against Union County. So he actually just eclipsed it by 2 yards on that last 5-yard rush that he had.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was actually the play after, I think, that it was announced.
And he could have had more because they got C.J. Allen in for 4 or 5 rushes.
And before that, he ran twice. I wrote on Twitter, I said, for variety, C.J. Allen runs to the 25. It's just like, well, just because they were just running it. Well, he had, what is that, like 10 yards a carry?
Oh, yeah.
That's insane. Like, the Carnes rush defense was just really, really struggling. There was a point, I counted it. I went back and counted through. They ran the ball with Drew Jordan 12 times in a row in the second half. And they were all like up the middle. So it was just, yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
It was just an amazing performance.
It was an amazing performance. I think, like you said, I think CJ he rushed like 3 or 4 times and got about 30, 40 yards.
He could have got that last one, but Justin decided to, show some sportsmanship and take the kneel down.
Right, and I talked to Justin, Coach Price, after the game as we did our interview, and he said, and my question to him was, I said, you kind of throwing a wrinkle in there for Fulton next weekend, aren't you?
Yeah.
And he said, well, I really thought that we could run against Carnes, against their defense, and boy, he was right.
Yeah.
I mean, Drew Jordan had a field day.
Yeah.
I mean, a record-breaking field day. All right, folks, it's at the bottom of the hour. We're going to step away for a short commercial break. When we come back, at 8:35, we'll have Brian Akins of WNML call into the show. So make sure you stay tuned. You've been watching Just Sports on WLAF Sports Network.
Printing in the heart of La Follette next to Big Creek is the place to go for all things Cougar. T-shirts, caps, jackets, and much more. If it's Cougars, it's at Birch Screen Printing. 423-562-3044. Need T-shirts or caps or polos for your business, special event, or church function? Birch is the business to call. Lettering, screen printing, and especially for all things Cougar. Birch Screen Printing in the heart of La Follette.
Just look for the parking lot full of cars. Yep, that's Charlie's Pizza.
Hey, this is Joey Fortin at the world famous Charlie's Pizza. Come down and see us.
First dates, fun with friends, celebrations, a break from work, whatever your excuse for stopping by Charlie's Pizza, everyone understands. Because we all love Charlie's for pizza, pasta, sandwiches, salads, and lots more. What's your favorite Charlie's Pizza specialty? What's your favorite Charlie's Pizza memory? It's the worst kept secret around. It's Charlie's Pizza in Jacksboro. See you there.
Mr. Robbie O'Daniel, the sports editor of La Follette Press. We certainly appreciate you hanging around for the first half hour. We certainly hope you enjoy the second half hour as well. Brian Akins from WNML will be calling in here in about 5 minutes. We were talking, as we were off air, talking about Drew Jordan having 191 yards at halftime.
Yeah.
And I was telling you, I thought just a small part of me, if he could have a second half like he had the first half, maybe, just maybe, he can get the record. And I had no clue what the record was.
Yeah, I didn't. Like, I really need to save that on my phone because we were I was going to Josh, I was just going to different people, and I was like, you know what is the record for rushing yards on a game as he eclipsed 200 yards and everything. We weren't sure, and like I said, that 333 number we were talking about on the sidelines ended up being wrong. It was 336 by Chris Johnson. But, I mean, like, if I would have analyzed it, like, clearly I was hoping, like, I was like, sure, I'd like to, write a story about breaking the school record. That sounds fun. But if I would have, like, analyzed it objectively, if I had to bet on it at halftime, I would have been like, I don't think so, because it's going to be hard to have a second half like that, especially if the game gets a little out of hand.
Yeah.
But he pulled it out.
Yes, he did.
I mean, when you have a guy who runs for 35 times and then Addington still gets 25 passes in.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
They're having absolutely. Thank you for calling Just Sports. You on the air.
Hi, Nick.
Hey, how are you?
Thank you for the husband.
What happened?
I read Scoot Tuesday.
You did what?
I read the Scoot Tuesday.
You
for
did?
my DD. Yes, for my DD.
Really? Did you pass?
Yeah.
Did you pass?
No, I didn't hear with my red. I didn't hear with my wheelie. And nothing home yesterday at 11 yesterday.
Uh-huh. Well, so are you going to go back and take the test?
I wonder if I can give a DD.
Gotcha. Okay. Well.
And I don't know what to do. Then,
Well.
after I get my DD and I know to drive, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Oh, yeah? So are you wanting to drive?
Yeah, I want to drive.
Oh, my gosh. Have you ever drove before?
Sometimes I did. Sometimes I do. Right now I don't.
Okay. Well, you let me know when you do, because I'll broadcast it on the show that you're out there driving for everybody to look out. I'm teasing. We're gonna have Brian Akins call in here in just a second, so I'm gonna have to cut you short tonight if that's okay. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Just pray for us. I can give 35 cents to give me out my DD.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Who's your favorite team? I'll talk to you next week.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
She's a sweetheart. She calls in just about every week. And of course, I want to thank you for her calling in tonight, because the last two times I haven't been on the air because we had a game Thursday night at Powell. And then last week I was going on business to
Yeah, I saw you out of town, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Hello?
Ed?
Yeah?
Ted? Boy, I said, I prefer to go on.
Okay, I will. I'll see him tomorrow night.
Okay,
All right, bye-bye.
bye.
Oh, goodness. She's a card. Anyway, Drew Jordan was up for WBR Sports Player of the Week, Channel WAT Player of the Week, 5-Star Preps Player of the Week. He won the All Access Varsity All Access Player of the Week, presented by Mark Packer. I thought that was a great accomplishment. And I seen him tonight on WBIR, the Player of the Week, and he had nowhere close to the numbers that Drew Jordan had, and he was a quarterback.
Was it who, Lenore City?
Lenore Cities, yes. Cade.
It's interesting because, I'm not, it kind of reminds, remember week 1 when Landon Addison's up for everything?
Yes.
And I thought that was kind of, like nothing, obviously Landon had a great game.
Right.
But if I had to pick one Cougar to be up for all the awards that week, it would have been Christian Schaus.
Oh, yeah.
Because he had a stuff. I kind of wonder about like some of them, how they pick who to put up for the awards sometimes. It seems to be, I thought it was interesting because a lot of the polls put the Lenore City quarterback up, and then 5-Star Preps put the Lenore City wide receiver up, who I think had like 7 catches for 200 yards, and they knocked off an undefeated Stone Memorial team. And I think Drew finished second to him in the polling. But it's interesting how they choose, obviously, just by virtue of the game that he had. Drew was just a slam dunk to be a nominee for everybody's.
Well, see, here's what I don't like about the situation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the fact that you've got a kid from Lenore City, or from anywhere, not just a kid from Lenore City.
Yeah.
That came out.
You've got it out for Lenore City.
Yeah. But anyway, you stop and think about this, and you really should vote for the player who has the best numbers, not where they're from. Exactly.
They don't do that.
No, they don't. I agree.
Well, some people probably do if they don't have a person in the running. But if they have a person in the running, they're going to vote for them no matter
They sit there and they just keep voting every day.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it should be like you only have one. I know some of these have like, it refreshes every 30 minutes or every hour or something like that, but I don't know. I thought it was interesting though, because on 5-Star Preps, Drew was like second, and there was a bit of a distance between first and second. And then with the Varsity All Access one, he dominated. But that one was just on Twitter, so you didn't have to go to a different website or anything.
Sure.
So I felt like that was almost like, me retweeting it, Patrick Peakley retweeting it, and a lot of people that follow us from the Campbell County area might have juiced that to where Drew really ran away with it. Like he had like 60% of the vote for the Varsity All Access one. So it's just kind of interesting how that works out. But I'm not sure how he did in the WIR or anything. And Prep Extras is kind of a different one because they use everybody, like they do like a boys athlete of the week. And so like Drew was going up against all kind of sports. Like he was going up against like, I want to say like an Anderson County cross country runner.
Yes.
They had like, and I saw their poll had like 10 or 15 kids on it.
I know.
So I think Drew was like second when I voted, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I think it's unfair. We've had a lot of kids from Campbell County to go on basketball and football, and there's only been a handful, if that's ever won it.
Yeah, it's tough, especially if you go up against
The Knoxville
big
teams.
community.
Sure.
Like, you go up against like a Farragut athlete or a Bearden athlete or something like that. It's gonna be tough to get the vote out. I think there was a week though. Was there not a week last year where I think Kenny Elliott from Jellicoe won offensive player of the week or something for WBIR?
I think you're right.
I think so.
I think you're right.
That was a big kind of feather in the cap there because you wouldn't.
You would think for the
Jellicoe
team, right?
Yeah, that they could win the poll.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Fulton real quick. Fulton is 3-0 in the district. They're 6-1 overall. The only loss came to Maryville.
Not too bad a team.
Not too bad at all. Of course, Alcoa beat Maryville later in the year.
Yeah.
Just a couple of weeks ago. But Campbell County 4-3 and 2-1. I mean, you stop and think about that. You take Campbell County 2 weeks ago, we were 2-4.
The thing, 2 weeks ago, and I took some heat on Twitter from some students about this, but I asked the question, will Campbell County make the playoffs? And like 59% of the people who voted said no.
Sure.
And that was the outlook 2 weeks ago. The outlook was, I don't know. They'll have to upset a West, or it'll take a game that they didn't win last year to pull that one out. But now they're in I think they will make the playoffs unless like something
drastic
happens.
Sure, because
they beat Clinton, it's over. They're in the playoffs.
Sure, because they will be the fourth team. If they lose to Fulton, lose to West, and beat Clinton, they're in. They'll be the fourth seeded team out of the region.
Now they have a real chance to avoid that 4 spot. If they upset Fulton and really have a great run, they could be 2.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They could be 1 at this point if somebody upsets. I think Oak Ridge has probably got like 2 regional games left at least.
Yeah, they played Fulton the last. If I'm not mistaken, Fulton and Oak Ridge played the last game of the season.
And they still have West. Or have they played them? Oak Ridge.
Oak Ridge, I think they do have West.
But I mean, anything can happen at this point. But
yeah, I mean, Campbell County's only 1 game back.
Yeah.
So
it changed everything.
Sure.
The foul forfeitures.
We were talking a little bit about Xavier Malone and Jay Sean Fenderson and these guys here that do a fantastic job for Fulton. And don't get me wrong, folks. Campbell County, these players do extremely well for Campbell County also, but this is some of the players that Campbell County is going up against tomorrow. We just want to highlight this to let you know how close Campbell County is at beating some of these teams. I mean, they are, stop and think about it. The first half against Oak Ridge was spot on.
Yeah. Really, Oak Ridge, I mean, there was a lot of miscues in that game.
Absolutely. I mean, as soon as we come back out of the half and they kick off to us, we fumble the football on the kickoff.
Miscues like last year. Really.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Like Oak Ridge, at last year's Oak Ridge game, they had some plum field position to start those drives. The same thing with the West game last year.
Yeah.
Like they had some key turnovers.
Oh, yeah.
But
and West, I believe if we go in and play Fulton tomorrow night with no miscues, no turnovers, and we force a turnover or 2 from them and kind of play our type of football, we can't get into this this passing frenzy. You know what I mean? We can't get into this marathon or sprint. We can't get in a sprint with them, but we can get into a marathon with them. If we slow it down just a bit, take some time off the clock, keep that Fulton offense off the field, I think we'll stand a chance to play with Fulton tomorrow night at Fulton.
If they can have even a fragment of the success running that they had against Carnes, then it'll be a different ballgame. Because like you said, keeping the Fulton offense off the field will be key.
Oh, yeah.
Because they are full of seniors, full of impact players. They're not, like Carnes was one-dimensional, Thomas Harper. Fulton is just loaded with players and with talent. So it'll be an interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens. At the same time, I hate to say it, but it felt like Campbell County, out of all the games last year, it felt like Campbell County struggled the most against Fulton.
Yeah.
Because Fulton.
They was only 30-0 in the first quarter.
Right. Even the Catholic, like you look back at the Catholic game, you're like, oh, the Catholic scored 50 points or whatever. Yeah, but like that first quarter, Campbell County made some big plays on defense and the red zone to keep Catholic from scoring.
Sure.
They were hanging in there until Catholic's athleticism and just some of the mismatches in the secondary just came back to back Campbell County. But the Fulton game was really the one where it felt like the athleticism just, it was kind of a mismatch, and like you said, Fulton, I think it was 35-0 in the first quarter or something like that. So
sure.
That was the one where it felt like, Fulton kind of smacked him in the mouth, and Kilmacane wasn't in the game last year. So it'll be key to, kind of get off to a better start this year.
How much do you think that plays in Campbell County's favor or Fulton's favor for tomorrow night from the game from last year? I think, my personal opinion is, Fulton's probably going to think that they've got this game in the bag.
I think so. I think I would be shocked if anybody in the Knoxville media picks Kilmacane to beat Fulton this week. I'm sure that Kilmacane will be a big underdog. Outside of Oak Ridge week, it would be the biggest like underdog test that Kilmacane has. So it'll be interesting to see how they respond.
Brian Akins, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Buddy, I'm doing fantastic. I was a little worried there about you, but I know you're a very busy man, and I can only appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much. Brian Akins from WNML is calling in tonight. And, of course, last year didn't go too well. He's a Fulton grad, just so that you know, Robbie.
Yeah.
I've got Robbie O'Daniel in studio with me, Brian, from the La Follette Press, the sports editor of the La Follette Press. So we're both going to be hammering you here tonight, if that's okay.
All right.
How much do you know about Xavier Malone and this Fulton Falcons team? Do you stay in contact with Russell Mays, or I guess you just keep up with them all together, don't you?
Yeah, I try to keep up with them as much as possible. Since I'm doing high school football now for our station, it's easy. It's harder to focus in on just them like I used to be able to do, but I still try to keep up as much as possible since they are my alma mater, and try to just be able to see what they're able to do right now. Right now they look really good. Xavier Malone hasn't looked the greatest, so he's still struggling, but he seems to be slowly getting things back to the way they were, say, a year ago when he was clicking on all cylinders. They definitely have a running game, though. Rob Thomas has finally stepped up, and I think they have found that go-to running back they're looking for.
Well, I can tell you, Xavier Malone is not the quarterback he was last year, based off his stats anyway. He's only got a 54% completion rating. But at the same time, like you said, you got Thomas and you got Page, both of them with over 300 yards, both of them with over 350 yards rushing for both of those young men.
Yeah, they're both looking really good right now. The running game has been the key for Fulton. That and the defense, like you said. Xavier Malone, he has only a 54% completion percentage right now. That kind of reminds you of what Felipe Franks had when he came into Knoxville to play against Tennessee. It's not very good, but it's doing enough to help that running game continue to be successful because they're doing enough on the passing game to open up the running game. But looking back to a year ago or 2 years ago, this is not the senior year that I expected out of Xavier Malone. I don't know if it's the nerves of trying to get those bigger offers that he's looking for. I don't know if that's something that's playing into this. But it is not the Xavier Malone that we saw even his freshman year. When his freshman year, he had an outstanding freshman campaign. So I don't know what has happened with him, but just the passing game has done enough to open up the running game, and that's what really has helped Fulton offensively this season.
I know for passing, Xavier Malone has 1,191 total yards. Rushing, they have 1,171. Robbie and I were talking just before going on the air, or maybe we was talking during the show, that this is a well-balanced team from Fulton.
It is a well-balanced team, and I think that's what makes them dangerous, is they're not relying on one aspect of the offense. They are being able to do both things effectively, and you mentioned Xavier Malone had 1,191 yards passing this season and 11 touchdowns.
Yep.
He only has 2 interceptions, so at least his completion percentage ratio is not very good, but his turnover ratio is outstanding.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's been good for him passing the ball. He's not turned it over very often, and that's a good thing. At least he's not throwing a 54 completion percentage rating, but then also throwing 11 picks. So he's been very consistent on keeping the ball on Fulton's side, which is a good thing.
Brian, what do you think, like last week, Campbell County had a very un-Price-like game in terms of they ran the ball 35 times for 338 yards for Drew Jordan, just 25 pass attempts for Addington, which is low for a Campbell County team. What do you think that kind of emphasis on the run last week against Carnes, does that change Rob Black's game plan at all going into this one, or is he still thinking traditional pass-happy Price?
I think for when it comes to Rob Black's experience in Campbell County, I think you have to prepare for the passing attack. You can't look at now. All the respect to Drew Jordan a week ago, he was outstanding, and he rightfully deserves the Player of the Week that he received. He looked great. But I think if you're Rob Black, you have to prepare for that passing attack and get ready for what that has to offer. They have a great defense, Fulton does, but they still can be exploited in the secondary. So you want to get that secondary, that defensive back core shored up before you face the Cougars tomorrow night.
So is Fulton stronger on the rush defense then, or?
Yeah, they're solid. Their linebacker core is outstanding. They're probably one of the best in the state. They have a couple defensive linebackers. Roquan Thomas is one of them, and then Deshaun Page has offers from Missouri to play in the SEC at that position. They have an outstanding linebacker core. So rushing defense is their best defense. They are very good at stopping the run and clogging up the holes and preventing large gains on the ground. And one thing that they're really good at is preventing the running backs from being able to get to the second level, which has been a huge asset for Jeff McMillan's defense this season.
If you had to distill it down to just one key to the game for Campbell County to win, like they have to do this to win the game on Friday night, what would you say?
I would say put pressure on Xavier Malone. I think if you put pressure on Xavier Malone, you are putting yourself into a situation that is not very good. And Xavier Malone, if he's pressured, we saw it against Central. He looked awful against Central. And I understand it was their first game of the season, and it was off of first week bye, but he looked horrible when he had pressure on him. So I think for Campbell County, if you want to have a chance in this game and to put yourself into a position where you can potentially get yourself in playoff range, you have to pressure Xavier as much as you can, because that offensive line with Fulton is not great.
I know that for our defensive line, we're not really big, but we're extremely quick. And our defensive line has played extremely well this year. And of course, our secondary at one particular time at the beginning of the season was questionable, but they have really stepped it up. I think for Campbell County to come into Fulton tomorrow night and win, they're going to have to mix it up. I think keep the offense of Fulton off the field and try to keep the ball out of those great players on the offensive side of the ball and kind of get some drives of themselves. And most importantly, they can't turn it over, but they've got to cause some turnovers. How has Fulton been with turnovers this year? I know Xavier Malone only has 2 interceptions, but what about the fumbles? Do you know much about that, Brian?
Fulton has been pretty effective at forcing turnovers this season. I know one big thing that they did is being able to keep themselves into the game against Maryville was they forced turnovers. And of course, Maryville did their thing and ran away with the game, but Fulton was able to force turnovers in that game on the defense, which is huge. And I think for them that allows offense to then do what it does. And so Fulton has been pretty solid at forcing turnovers this season. I'm trying to look up the stats because I'm not sure on the exact amount of turnovers they've forced this season, but I know it's been a solid number this season. I know they have total 6 interceptions on the year, which is pretty solid for that secondary.
Yes.
So they're able to definitely get inside and read the quarterback and make plays on the ball.
You know, they've only fumbled one time and only lost 1 fumble, and that was by Deshaun Page. I don't know about the defense, like you said, as far as how many fumbles they've gotten on defense, but like you said, they've had 6 interceptions through the year in, what, 7 games? That's pretty impressive.
They have, if I'm reading, the stat I'm reading right now, they have 9 forced fumbles on defense, and they recovered all 9 of them.
Wow.
Which is a very good statistic if you are a defense and you're looking to force turnovers. If you're able to recover all 9 of them, 100% recovery rating, that's great for your defense.
Well, I know we'll have to reverse that tomorrow night if we stand a chance. And I'm not selling Campbell County short. I don't want anybody to think that.
This is the #1 team in the state.
Exactly. That's my whole point, the #1 team in the state. So, with that being said, I think that we'll have to probably work extremely hard, cause some turnovers, not turn the ball over, and I think that Addington's, they're going to have to give Addington some time, but at the same time, Robbie, like you said earlier, I think we're going to have to effectively run the ball, and that may be a tough task against these linebackers of Fulton.
Right.
So I will say this, another aspect of the game plan for Campbell County, if they want to be successful against Fulton, is they've got to make sure they are covering on special teams. One thing that killed Maryville in the first half of that game is they allowed 2 special teams touchdowns for Fulton. A kickoff return on the very first play of the game went for a touchdown, and a punt return later in the second quarter went for a touchdown. If they want to have a chance, they've got to slow down Jason Henderson when it comes to returning the kickoff and punts, because he has so much speed and he's so good at breaking tackles and making guys miss that if they're not able to follow him up, he can do some serious damage on the special team side of the ball without putting the ball in the hands of Xavier Malone or that offense at all. And you can still see yourself down by 2 or 3 touchdowns just solely off the special teams play.
Well, I can tell you this. Through 7 games, I'll tell you somebody who we haven't talked about tonight, and that's Deshaun McKinney. He's got 476 receiving yards. He's got more than Fenderson as far as receiving yards. Kickoff returns yardage, Fenderson has 99. So, I mean, you know, he has a total of 758 total from scrimmage, all-purpose yards. McKinney he's right behind him with 648. So we don't hear a lot about McKinney.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, to me, Fulton and Carnes offensively are just polar opposites because, you know, Carnes, you just focus on Thomas Harper, really. He's the main thrust of your focus, and Fulton's just loaded with playmakers.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
Yeah, Deshaun McKinney has gone under the radar this season, but his stats don't lie. 476 receptions, yards on 24 receptions and 3 touchdowns. That's a great stat to have, especially when he has several fewer receptions than Jason Henderson. I mean, Jason Henderson has 32 receptions with 435 yards. So Deshaun McKinney is making more of his receptions every time he touches the ball. And he's been an outstanding receiver for Fulton on the offensive side of the ball. He's been their go-to guy when it comes to making plays in the passing game. Of course, Roquan Thomas is that go-to guy when it comes to the running game. But yeah, like you said, Robbie, there's multiple guys for Fulton that can make plays. That's been a consistency throughout the past 4 to 5 years. I know they went on that three state championship runs in a row. One of those I was there for playing-wise, and it was the same way. You had talent all over the offense. You could not zero in on one guy. It's not like you said Carnes had Thomas Harper this season, that's it. Fulton has boasted multiple skilled position guys that can do serious damage to you when they have the ball in their hands.
Do you have a sense of how much, because this is the first class that nobody on the roster, as far as I know, was part of any of the state championship years in 2012 through 14. Is there a sense that even though they are the #1 team in the state, they have a chip on their shoulder because they haven't got a ring yet?
I think that's something. I think they know. A lot of these guys, like you said, none of them have been to the state championship game since they've been there. The closest they got was a semifinal appearance against Central a couple of years ago when they got destroyed by Central then. I think there is a chip on their shoulder. They were in the Little League division then for the Falcons when the last state championship was won in 2014. So I think they definitely
that's third behind Alcoa and Maryville, you know.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. Well, buddy, I'm up against the top of the hour. I certainly appreciate, as always, you calling in. Of course, this is Brian Akins from WNML. Thank you so much, Brian. I really appreciate you, buddy.
No problem. Thanks for letting me join. I do apologize a little late on the call there.
Hey, that's fine, man. I was just giving you a hard time. You can call late anytime.
Well, I'm glad you texted me because I nearly forgot. I lost track of time and forgot to call in. So I'm glad you sent me a message that reminded me.
Well, no problem, buddy. I'll get in contact with you pretty soon.
Thanks, sir.
All right, see you, buddy. Hey, are you going to be at the game tomorrow night?
I will not. I'll be calling the games, or calling the scoreboard and pregame and postgame for sports radio tomorrow night. So I'll be sitting in the studio for several hours watching scores and giving updates throughout the night. So I will not be able to make it.
That is right. I forgot about that. Well, great gig, by the way, buddy.
I appreciate it.
See you, man.
See you.
Bye-bye. This guy and myself work together where I work at now.
Okay.
And he was the color analyst with Russell Mays.
Okay.
On the radio.
By the way, shout out to Russell Mays. I don't know if you saw it, but he posts every week, I believe, game notes, and it's like it would make a college sports information director blush.
Oh yeah.
This is like 8-page game notes for tomorrow's game.
Yes. Did he send it to you?
Well, it's online.
Okay.
You might want to pull that up before the broadcast tomorrow, but it's out. You could probably
He sent all that
anything you
to
wanted to know. Okay.
Yeah, he sent that to me to my email.
Anything you wanted to know about Fulton.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And he sent it to Vince Ferrara as well,
Yeah.
which Vince Ferrara works for WNML also. He'll be there tomorrow night calling the game as
And
well.
this will be the first time Kimball County's traveled to Fulton since the early 80s.
Yes.
So it is not a long story rivalry at all.
No, it hasn't. So we got an opportunity.
Yeah.
We've got an opportunity to win tomorrow night as long as we do the things that you and I say they need to do and force some turnovers and don't get in a sprint with Fulton because we'll lose a sprint.
Mm-hmm.
Guaranteed. Well, folks, we're up against the top of the hour. It's 9 o'clock. For Mr. Robbie O'Daniel, I certainly appreciate him coming in. He is the sports editor of the Follett Press. He's more than welcome to come back each and every Thursday as long as he don't have anything to do and his wife is okay with it because he lives